Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things, where we fly by this pointless statue in Booty Bay, because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 are the mushrooms in the Ghostlands, and this is one of the reasons I love doing Pointless Top 10, because I find things like this. You know, I didn't even realize these mushrooms were in the game, or if I leveled here back in the day, you know, I kind of just skimmed over them like, whatever. But now going back, I'm like, dude, these mushrooms are actually really cool. They got this neon green glow to them. It contrasts really well with the dark and gloomy atmosphere of the Ghostlands. I mean, which, by the way, nobody really goes to the Ghostlands. People barely went to the Ghostlands back in the day. It was like, if you're leveling a blood elf, you go there. Now you don't even have to go there. So they truly have become the Ghostlands, but they really do got some cool mushrooms. I mean, look at those. You know, they got little tiny mushrooms there too, which I'm sure grow up into the big green glowy mushrooms, but I thought these look really cool, like especially in this shot where it looks like the cobwebs are kind of glowing with the mushrooms. I love that, but that's why the Ghostland mushrooms are number 10. 9. Number 9 are the Bloodbow Fungalmancers, and these are just little mushroom guys located in Drustvar. And I'm pretty sure they're one of the only mushroom creatures in World of Warcraft. They got added in Battle for Azeroth, and you know, they're a little freaky, but they're kind of cool. I also love the environment they're in. There's a bunch of mushrooms around them. There's spores. There's all these little things. They're big broken trees, which I think are always cool. And I thought this would be a good time for an actual mushroom fact, which is mushrooms are more closely related to humans than they are to plants. In fact, it is believed that the humans and mushrooms share a common ancestor. And I guess in this case, we are very much more related to these weird mushroom guys because they're alive and very angry. It almost makes me wonder if, would mushrooms be this angry in real life if they came to life? Would they be like, you've been walking all over us and eating us, right? And then they just start fighting back. I don't know. Either way, they're pretty cool, and that's why they're number 9. 8. Number 8 are the giant mushrooms in Deepholm, and the giant mushrooms are mushrooms that are taken care of by the Stone Trog Fungalmancers in the Needle Rock Chasm in Deepholm, and they are apparently used to spawn fungal monstrosities that must be destroyed for the quest Sprout No More. But I really just love these mushrooms because they're just weird. Like, Deepholm is another place like the Ghostlands where you don't really go to, right? And so just seeing these massive mushrooms that are almost like underground trees is just pretty sick to me. And then they even have these little mushroom farms that I guess the Trogs are either growing themselves or protecting the mushrooms with. I don't know, it's just really cool. I also love the glow of the mushrooms, and it turns out there's actually a reason in real life why mushrooms glow in the dark, and they say there are around 70 species of ghostly bioluminescent fungi. It's believed they glow in the dark as a way to attract insects to spread their spores. So there actually is a reason why they glow in the dark. I don't know if that's why they glow in World of Warcraft. Obviously, it's not real, but that's pretty cool. And that's why the giant mushrooms are number 8. 7. Number 7 is Battersnoosh, and Battersnoosh is a Fungarian located in the Terrace of Crafters in Dazara lore. And even though he is pretty much one of the fungal guys we saw earlier, this guy is much more friendly. He actually has a list of mushrooms that he sells to you. He sells you Battersnoosh's Toadstool, which I don't know if he just took those and then put his name on it. It's a little weird. No Moral Truffles, an Herbalist Spade to dig up stuff, and then the Forgotten Techniques of Zandalar, which allows you to relearn any herbalism techniques you learned, but then switch professions and need to relearn them. So in actuality, he only sells you 2 mushrooms. I thought there was like a big list of mushrooms. It's actually just 2. He also has his 2 friends nearby. There's Rootsoosh, and there's also Snooftoo. I also love that the area that they're standing in's also got some mushrooms around it, like the mushrooms are growing on the wall, and they got the mushrooms growing out of the plant container things. Either way, it's really cool. So I like these guys. I like their little area, and that's why they're number 7. 6. Number 6 is Zangarmarsh, and I feel like you had to know Zangarmarsh was going to be on this list. It is literally an entire zone of mushrooms, so I couldn't just pick one. I was like, we might as well just do the entire zone, right? And there are some cool mushrooms in Zangarmarsh. I mean, they've probably got some of the biggest mushrooms in the game, if not the biggest. I mean, there's a literal city or, you know, town built on one of these mushrooms. You have, you know, the purple ones, the orange glowy ones. You got some kind of aqua glowy ones. Just, there's so many varieties of mushrooms here. You have the little glow cap and fire cap mushrooms. You have some that are, I have no idea what they are, but they're there. You even have the Deadmire with all these dying and dead mushrooms laying around. I didn't realize how awesome the Deadmire actually is until I went back and looked at it. It almost gives me like Mushroom Plaguelands vibes, and I like that more than the actual Eastern and Western Plaguelands, to be honest. So overall, just a fantastic zone. One of my favorites in World of Warcraft, and it's got a lot of mushrooms, and that's why it's number 6. 5. Number 5 are the mushrooms at the Crimson Expanse, which is a location in the upper shelf of Deep Home. Its name derives from all the red giant mushrooms that grow there, including the purple rocks, which have been colored by the fungi. And apparently it is the stone trogs who are growing them as some sort of weapon against the other earth elementals in Deep Home. Somehow the mushrooms are able to transform the elementals into creatures identical to fungal giants. So we had the giant mushrooms in Deep Home earlier. Now we have the red giant mushrooms, but this area is just beautiful. You have these big crystal tree mountains. Like, I really love what they did with this because it's like an underground crystal mountain, but they gave it almost like rock roots. I don't know if it's like actual roots, but it's like these red rock roots you can see there kind of growing outward. And then they're growing up into the ceiling where these almost jellyfish-like things are dangling from up there. It's just a really beautiful area, even if it is being used to grow weapons to fight earth elementals. So I guess they are being used for warfare, but it is World of Warcraft, so that's why the Crimson Expanse is number 5. Number 4 is the Whispering Forest mushrooms in Tirisful Glades, and this one's pretty crazy. So pretty much near the center of the forest is a mysterious ring of giant mushrooms glowing with some sort of strange energy. A cloud of mist hovers over the circle, and the circle sits glowing and otherwise unremarkable for hours on end. But every now and again, the fairy dragons begin to appear one by one, flying erratically in the general area of the mushroom ring. They then begin to sing, and as they sing, beams of light shine from each darter, converging on the center of the mushroom ring. The other animals of the glen come to watch, curious about what's going on, and as suddenly as the mysterious ritual starts, it stops. So this is pretty crazy, and I learned that this is actually a common thing in a lot of European folklore because fairy rings are like a real thing where a bunch of mushrooms grow in a big circle. I didn't even know it was a real thing, but I guess it makes sense. You can go look it up on Wikipedia if you want. There's a whole bunch of stuff on it. But in terms of actual WoW lore, there's a whole bunch of speculation. There's the fairy dragons might be trying to heal the forest from old god corruption. There's speculation this is where the High Elves first landed in the Eastern Kingdoms. There's speculation that this is tied into the Emerald Dream in some way. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but nobody really knows. But what I do know is this place is pretty cool, and these are some cool mushrooms, and that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is the Crimson Fen, and the Crimson Fen is a fungal swamp in southeastern Gorgrond. According to Wowpedia, something sinister is spreading from the heart of the fen, a disease that spreads by infecting unfortunate Draenei and orcs via spores, driving them insane. In the main timeline, the Crimson Fen was swallowed when Draenor was torn apart by nether magics. So the first thing this reminded me of is those crazy mushrooms in real life that like infected ants and turned them into zombies, and then like mushrooms grew out of their head. You know, crazy shit. Really happened. Kind of freaky. But what I really love about this place is it feels like a blood-corrupted Zanger marsh. You know what I mean? Like everything's very red and orange, but you still have these big giant mushrooms with everything hanging from them, and a large variety of fungi just growing around on the floor. In fact, this zone is what inspired me to do Pointless Top 10 mushrooms. I remember seeing this on the map and being like, yo, there's like a bunch of mushrooms on the map. That's weird. And then I went and saw this and I was like, yo, this is awesome. And so that's why the Crimson Fen is number 3. Number 2 is Zangara, and I'm not gonna lie, I picked Zangara just because I like it a lot. I love the colors here. I love the blues and the greens and the aquatic feel to it. There's like the water shimmer with the light reflecting going on all over. There's the mushrooms dripping with water. It's beautiful. So Zangara is a secluded cove off the Tannin Channel between Talador and the Tannin Jungle, and the cove serves as the base of operations of the Kirin Tor in Draenor and has several wards and arcane elementals standing guard. Khadgar's also here. But the main thing is, I just think this place is beautiful. Like, it just feels like this aquatic jungle forest, well, underwater jungle forest, I guess. There's waterfalls. The mushrooms themselves are all different in various ways. Some are glowing, some are sideways, some are, you know, looking like jellyfish. I don't even know if they are jellyfish just hooked onto a plant. I don't even know, but I just love this place. It's very aesthetically pleasing. If you look under the mushrooms, it almost looks like they could be houses, like they got little windows in them, but I don't think they actually are. But who knows? Maybe there's tiny little mushroom people living in there. It's just a beautiful area that's just hidden away, and I had to put it on this list, and that's why it's number 2. And number 1 is my favorite mushroom and probably the best thing to come out of Shadowlands. It is Marasmius. Marasmius is a sentient mushroom whose heart is in the fungal terminus that extends throughout Ardenweld through the roots of each dream tree, serving as the transport network for the Night Fae Covenant. He is the origin of all mushrooms of Ardenweld and perhaps all of Shadowlands, though technically he exists across all of Ardenweld, underneath Ardenweld, and pieces of Ardenweld that broke off. He appears normally in the ring or the fungal terminus in the stalks. But aside from that, he's just a chunky, old, wrinkly mushroom guy, and I love that. In fact, when you think about it, this guy's kind of a mushroom god. He literally is the origin of all mushrooms in Ardenweld and maybe Shadowlands, and on top of that, he's everywhere all at once? Well, this guy sounds like a mushroom god. In fact, a bit of a callback to earlier, he is named after the Marasmius genus of fungi, which are the mushrooms that form the fairy rings we talked about earlier. So he might actually be tied into some god stuff. Who knows? And that's why he's number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also, if you want to check out some other Pointless Top 10s, we just had food on tables the other week, and go check that one out. Or, if you want something more nature-based, we had volcanoes a while ago. Go watch some volcanoes. Okay? Okay. See you.